He is currently the director of the Human Trafficking Response Unit at the Oklahoma AG's office. He has worked with Sebastian on cases in the past. Kevin, thanks for making the time tonight.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Some of our viewers already saying that Sebastian is nothing short of a hero. And one of our viewers, Amy, actually writing, "This guy is a real-life hero. Imagine risking everything to save innocent lives." Kevin, do you agree?
Absolutely. There are people like him who have to stay in the shadows that can't be public like I am right now, which is something that I've not always been able to do. But it's important that we understand that there are people like this out here. And right now, I know he is working on something along with a team on a very important case that just didn't reach the threshold for law enforcement to be involved. And hopefully his efforts right now will help us cross that line to where law enforcement can be active and can rescue more people.
And I know you're speaking to us from the field right now without compromising any operations. What can you share with us about any cases or extractions that are underway right now?
The ones that are underway right now, I really can't get into. But like I was saying, he jumps in and helps out. If you understand how law enforcement works, we require a crime to have occurred that meets a certain threshold, and we have to have evidence in the way of either informants or certain other things. So some of these victims are in a situation where they want out, but they are not willing to talk to law enforcement for a variety of reasons. And the evidentiary level just doesn't meet that threshold where we can actually come in and take action. So he and his team can come in and do things to help those victims get out of that situation, get them to a safe house where law enforcement, we can then come in and interview, and hopefully these people will feel like they're in a safe enough environment that they can then disclose, which gives us the evidentiary threshold that we need, that we can then go in and start looking at this network or whatever it may be.
And Kevin, you bring up a really important point. If a lot of these women were with their families and attempting to cross into the United States illegally, one would understand that they would not feel like it is an option, perhaps, to call law enforcement to try to get out of a kidnapping, trafficking situation they're in. Is that right?
Yes, and when they're in that situation, the people that are helping them cross over often will have their documents. They are threatened with legal action, with deportation, with all of that.
Can you explain to us just how dangerous this work is and how difficult and delicate some of these extractions are?
Well, when we talk about those extractions or rescues in Mexico, for example, a friend of mine who was still a federal law enforcement agent at the time contacted me and said, "Hey, I've got this situation in Mexico that we're just not able to reach. These people have been kidnapped. Do you have any ideas?" I said, "Absolutely." So I called him in and gave him the information needed, and he was able to go in and make contact with that cartel and eventually get the release of these people that we were looking at. It is extremely dangerous. If you just look back a few months, or I lose track of time, there were Americans that went over to Mexico, were in the wrong place at the wrong time, were killed in the street.
Mm-hmm. And some of these spaces seem very difficult to infiltrate. What are some of the specific skills Sebastian has that makes him be able to do this work so seamlessly without detection? What can he do that government officials, federal agents, law enforcement simply can't?
Well, he doesn't have the same restrictions that we do on the government side. We have restrictions on where we can go, what we can do. And quite honestly, if you look at law enforcement in general in the U.S., we are under-resourced, understaffed. I think that's all federal, state, local, everybody. And we're pretty much overwhelmed with everything. So he has really focused on this network and infiltrating that and building relationships with government officials, other NGOs in Mexico. And that relationship building is something that has taken him many, many, many years. When you look at government officials, by the time one of them starts building that relationship, they're promoted, retired, transferred, or something, and you lose something when you get that replacement coming in. he has just dedicated himself to infiltrating, building those relationships and that trust, and also the network of informants and agents that he needs to do this.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.